Bearcat Bounce Podcast. Back at it again. Another Monday. Another Monday where next Monday will be a special Monday. Not because it will be a BBP Monday, but because it will be the start of Wes Miller Year 3, first year in the Big 12. 10 toes down, ready to rock, ready to roll. We're going to discuss a little bit more on that and the happenings of the basketball side of things in the last week. It's also a Monday where we're, regrettably and frustratingly and whatever different synonym of those words you want to throw in there, we need to rehash another tough loss, this one on the road in Stillwater, Oklahoma, to the Cowboys out there. Rootin' tootin' Oklahoma State. A bit of a drubbing. The toughest loss of the year, point spread wise. We'll pack that, unpack it, get it all going. And then, of course, it's also another Monday where it only gets better because I get to talk to my pals, my guys, my Bearcat dudes, if you will. That's right. Only two right now. We're getting a third here soon. But without further ado, Chad Brendel, Aaron Smith, the original OGs. Gentlemen, how are we?
We're here.
We are here. That's true.
Yeah, we're here.
That is correct. We are here. That is correct.
Yep. We don't necessarily want to be here.
Hey, man.
But we are.
That we are.
That's about right.
That's the type of dedication we have to our audience. Is that guess what? Six game losing streaks wear on the content producers as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how much more there is just like analyze, to break down, to discuss.
Man, if it wasn't saying if it's not broke, don't fix it. So what's like the opposite of that?
If it is broke, fix it.
Blow the whole thing up.
Yeah. We'll dive into that. We'll dive into that.
Good. That's
but
we
we do have basketball. A Shimon Mateo days away to starting up, to firing on all cylinders. I mean that's a cause for excitement. So,
hooray!
It is. But the weekend.
I said hooray.
Have you ever played Boo-Ray? Speaking of hooray, have you played Boo-Ray? It's a fun game out there. Nice little card game, little fun. This, that, and the other. 30 Walrus. We will keep you from your paper, my man. Lock in, enjoy. But hey, Aaron, sir, how are we? I'm gonna pass it to you a lot. I'm excited to hear your input all throughout the pod today. I'm enjoying your excitement. How are we?
I hate rainy, cold days. I can't wait to see the sun again. I feel like it's been days.
So it'll be like May,
both metaphorically and actually.
This is we're entering winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's gonna like the one day that we want it to be cold. Saturday, when Orlando Tech comes to town, it's going to be like 60 and sunny.
Right.
And it's an afternoon game.
Well, because they brought the warmth with them.
They bring something with them.
Okay.
Chlamydia.
Whoa.
Wow. Okay.
The last time UC went down there, they came home with. Never mind.
Whoa.
Came home with. You mean not the last time, but the time before.
The time before that, right?
Came home with the W. That's what they came home with. How about that? Among other things, plenty of other things. Aaron, the weekend was good though. You stay in Athens all weekend?
Yes, I had to think about it.
Okay.
Little trunk or treat action on Saturday in the rain and cold.
What'd you dress up as?
Grant from Jurassic Park. I think that was his name.
Well, hey, I'm sure you looked great. I don't know what Grant from Jurassic Park looks like, but hey,
the main guy, the guy who would
with the glasses.
with the
Jeff
sunglasses. Yeah. No, not Jeff Goldblum. The other guy. Not the Colonel Sanders guy either, but the other guy.
Yeah, that guy. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, you know what, guys? I mean, I guess if you're trick or treating or trunk or treating, if you will, and your truck breaks down while you're getting the trunk or treating set up, get it towed over to Danco Transmission in Auto Care. Get Danco Joe to hook it up for you. Get it to floppy hat, denim shirt,
Yeah.
road flare. Okay, there we go. There we go.
Yeah, that guy.
Understandable. Yeah. I went as yeah. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, head over to Danco Transmission and Auto Care, man. You know, get yourself $10 off your next oil change, 10% off your next big fixing over there at Danco Transmission. We love you, Danco Joe, as always, and we'll be able to continue to bring all the joy and all the cars that need a fixing over your way. Speaking of the things that need fixing, we'll just, as always, dive right into the most.
Sure. Brian said even if it was cold and rainy this week against Orlando Tech, would that even help this mess? It's just more that I enjoy watching them be miserable on the sidelines when it's like 53 degrees and like normal,
Right?
And they have the heaters out and the bubble.
It would need to be. It would need to be like 30 for them to be effective.
You are incorrect.
Enough for
no,
Cincinnati.
You are incorrect. Well,
for Cincinnati to gain an upper hand.
Well, I'm just saying I've seen them be affected at 50. Where there was one year it was 50 and they literally acted like it was like 18 degrees outside. Now, that's not to say it would impact them enough to lose to the Cincinnati team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying I have seen them be drastically impacted at like 50 degrees, and it was hilarious. That's all I was. It's just self-entertainment at this point.
Yeah. Well, I feel like USF was even worse when it came to that thing. I remember the one game with
USF was always bad too.
The Mike Warren game that I feel like they were all like turning into frozen statues on their sideline. Brought their own
entire. That game was cold though, wasn't it?
It was cold. Yes, absolutely.
Like that was down in the like at least like lower 30s, upper 20s. Like that was cold.
Yeah, that was before I was at BCJ and I was at Notre Dame Stadium. Florida State was playing Notre Dame. It was freezing cold there. And I watched the entire Cincy game on my phone, and everyone there was like, "What are you doing? Like it's freezing cold, and you're just sitting here with like a long sleeve shirt on, watching the game on your phone." And I was like, "Hey man, dedication, love. That's all it is." But yeah, different story for different time. Maybe there's a cold front that'll sweep in and give the added advantage to the Bearcats. I mean, there was a bit of a cold front down in Stillwater, but obviously the Cowboys were ready for it. They, I guess, needed a half.
I thought the cold front was Cincinnati's offense in the second half.
Ooh, there we go. I'm getting the metaphorical rise out of you there, Chad. But man, tell you what, yeah, a 10-7 halftime score turned into 35-6 the rest of the way in favor of the home team.
Is that bad?
Man, that's pretty doggone bad. Aaron, is that bad?
Sure. Check with your sources.
Check with your sources.
It's bad.
Okay. It's bad. It's bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Man, and I tell you what, I did a little bit more of a dive into it, and it is a disheartening thing when the strength of the team, pretty much, if you will, heading into the game was the defense being able to stop the opposing team's rushing attack. That was truly not the case in this one. Sure, a lot of it happened in that second half drubbing, but Ollie Gordon, who I would stretch to imagine is slowly rising up the All-American lists and every other list that you can think of. Doak Walker is one of the best players, not even running backs in the country. 271 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. That's after he kind of obliterated West Virginia in similar fashion last week. Man, can you guys remember a time when a singular player on an opposing team kind of single-handedly took care of business? like the way that Ollie Gordon did in that second half?
I don't remember it. I was trying to think back to like how like he's the best running back I've seen UC play since ...
Yeah.
And I mean, the only two names that really come to mind are Ryan Matthews and Shady McCoy.
Yeah.
Right. And before that, like Ray Rice.
Ray Rice, Deion Lewis.
I mean, that dude was like just looked like an NFL back, man. Like
he did.
The ability to change directions, the ability to not only change directions, but to get to top speed quickly out of his cuts. He had great balance. He had great vision. I mean, he was real deal. And the crazy part is, for the majority of the first half, they had held him to like 20 something yards. Like he got 250 yards basically in 33 minutes, 34 minutes.
Yeah. Yep.
He was good, man. He's really good.
He was. I did a quick look just back to the year 2000. Brian Robinson in the Cotton Bowl. It seems like a lot of the stats that kind of stick out really go back to that game for the most part. But he had 204 rushing yards. That is the only time all the way back until 2001 that a player has rushed for over 200 yards against Cincinnati. In 2001, it was Leonard Henry from West Virginia. So Brian Robinson, 204 yards rushing. So kind of some. Go ahead.
Tajay Spears got close last year against Tulane.
Yeah, and I mean,
you guys know I love
Tajay. You guys know I love Tajay Spears, but I just don't think he had the size, speed, like combination that
it took him 35 carries to get there as opposed to 25. I was looking that one up, just one that popped in my head. And there was that receiver for UCF who got us pretty good too. I can't remember. Not last year. This was some years back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, Tajay had 35 for 181 and 2 touchdowns. Are you talking about Gabe Davis or before that? For UCF?
I don't remember. None of this is helping.
Great podcasting, Aaron.
You're welcome.
But yeah, the only other time that the opposing team rushed for over 300 yards, it happened only a handful of times. One was that Navy game that we bring up, Fickle's first year when Freeman decided it was his personal vendetta to figure out the triple option attack and deny it in any way possible for the rest of his career. That was 569 rushing yards in that. You mentioned Ray Rice. That was Rutgers, 2005, 337 total yards on the ground in that game, and then a couple other ones sprinkled in. So this is kind of a historic stat when it comes to someone just completely dominating a game against a Cincinnati team over the last 23 years. So do you think of this? I mean, at this point, is it just the player having a special game? And because that, as well as I guess the rushing attack offensively, were kind of the two things that were the glimmers of hope, and it was tough both ways on well, not really offensively, but tough defensively stopping the run of this one.
I mean, in the second half, there was just a lot of bad run fill. Like there, you could most of the time pinpoint, okay, here's where it went wrong. This guy got sucked into this gap and he should have been in this gap. And if you give Ollie Gordon a human-sized gap to run through, he's going to run through it, and he's going to make your safety miss, and he's going to run for a lot of yards. And, they had the one where the entire backside sold out to the middle. I think Brent could have probably gotten 40 yards on that run.
Oh, baby.
Cutting it to the backside. I mean,
I like that.
There was nothing. Like as soon as you saw him start to make that cut and your eyes shifted to the backside, the response was, oh no, because there was just nothing. So, I think they did like a really good job early. If you watched early, he didn't have anything, and they were in the gaps, and they were where they needed to be, and they were disciplined. And I think again, it comes down to like, as soon as this team takes a hit, as soon as the tide starts to turn, the confidence falters, and the trust of all I have to do is be in my spot, and guys start trying to overcompensate and make things happen. And that means an extra guy's in this hole instead of in this hole where he's supposed to be, and that stuff snowballs fast, especially when you're playing one of the best running backs in the country. I mean, that will burn you quickly. And you saw his yards. It looked like, for most of the game, it was a slot machine that kept coming up different stuff.
Right.
And then for the second half, like it was jackpot. Slot
machine got hot. Yeah. It got hot. It did get hot.
Yeah.
Aaron, your thoughts on old Ollie Gordon? Let's open and shut this book on probably one of the best players that the team has seen all year.
Crazy thing is, they didn't even know what they had in Ollie Gordon at the beginning of the season. It took them a couple games to establish what they had in Ollie Gordon. And here he is, just on a crazy, wild, hot streak. And Cincinnati wasn't able to stop a guy, and that's what they had been actually good at this season prior to this game, was stopping the run. Letting a guy go for a 75-yard breakaway touchdown, of course, puts a huge dent in those numbers, but he was doing
but
just
he
fine.
Still would have had 200 without it.
He was doing just fine before that. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get
that
to
all,
that.
That all said, it was not a good day for the defense, an even worse day for the offense. Special team struggles, and it's becoming a broken record.
Yeah, you say the whole the crazy thing about Oklahoma State is the fact that they started the year off terribly. Yeah, and you guys mentioned it on the Big 12
because the coach couldn't pick a quarterback or a running back.
It was the weirdest thing. But now it's they're slowly evolving to looking like a doggone good team, like a potential.
You've said slowly twice. I disagree that it's slowly. It's happening very quickly.
Quickly in the last
4 games, and
right.
You're looking like a serious contender now in this conference.
Yeah, right.
I mean, if they win Bedlam this week, they're probably going to play in the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah.
And the way Oklahoma has looked, I mean, Oklahoma State's run defense has been really good, but I don't know
Cincinnati's.
I don't know that I'm betting against Oklahoma State right now.
No, not one bit.
Buddy's a man, but he's indecisive. So is he actually a woman?
Very interesting.
There's about 3 people that are going to yell at me here in like 30 seconds.
Well,
Chelsea, Natalie.
Take it and roll with it. But
it was a joke. Calm down.
It just felt like it was a, you can only bottle up a player of that talent for so long, and then a couple of big hits there, and like you said, it's like, but
the problem is you bottled him up and didn't do anything with it.
Right.
You had 7 points. Like you did exactly what you needed to do to put yourself in, like, to at least be like 14-10, 14-7. Like you could have been in a position where they couldn't just focus on running the ball, but then the second half starts, and I told this Saturday night. We were at the Holy Grail, and I had Kelsey and one of her friends with me, and going into it, she was like, do we have to stay for the whole game? And I'm like, well, honey, we're probably not going to have to stay for the whole game. And then at halftime, it was 10-7.
You're like, we might have to.
We're going to have to stay for the whole game, aren't we? And I was like, yeah, we're probably going to have to stay for the whole game. And then 4 minutes into the second half, I was like, well, I think we're going to be able to get out of here earlier than expected.
I mean, the graphic they put up on the screen that was pretty wild was, in the 7 other games that Oklahoma State played this year, I think they scored only 26 points total in third quarter, and they went 21-0 in this third quarter.
Yeah, it was the fourth quarter that they had been dominating.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of what they did at West Virginia and different games like that. But I don't know. Yeah, it's a really good running back. But like you said, if one pillar of the 3 pillars is doing well, the other 2, at least one of the other two has to kind of fill in and help out a little bit. And offense was kind of nowhere to be seen. We got glimpses of the breakout Miles Montgomery party, and then all of a sudden the injury takes place. And Aaron, you've done a great job getting on your soapbox and expressing your thoughts on that. And I want you to do it one last time. Because obviously there were some really weird sequences when it comes to this, especially at the end of the first half. You had a chance to kind of gain momentum and then get the ball back in the start of the second half as well, to try and do anything to just get some sort of points and continue pushing forward. But, this second half, even the play calling seemed a little, blasé, if you will. And then, I don't know. But the end of the first half was yet another weird thing, season full of weird things. I don't know.
The hell did you take a timeout for if you're going to run the ball in the rain on the logo, which is the most slick part of the entire field? None of it made any sense. I don't know. The more I think about that play, the more frustrated I get with the whole damn game. And I feel like that play was an enigma of the entire game at that point. Like, it was just, the hell are we doing?
Yeah. I mean, it's on.
You were in position to throw a Hail Mary. Like, why? What?
Yeah.
50 yards isn't 50 yards is not a crazy Hail Mary.
On your own 46. Yeah. Like, just, they did it against Baylor the week before, or was it Iowa State 2 weeks ago? One of the two. Just take a shot. Don't have that run, and then all of a sudden, you're facing an injury, and it was just strange, man. Especially after the interception by Jordan Young, which is the first interception since what? Miami is insane. But I don't know. You gotta figure out a way to muster up some sort of positive momentum, and it's tough.
Brent saying Aaron gets on his soapbox applies. Aaron spends time off of it. He exists on his soapbox this season.
Agreed.
Right. The only part I didn't disagree with is the logo part. Like, this isn't college basketball.
No, but if you're on turf, that's the most. I mean, that's the most slippery part of the entire field because of the paint.
It's stone in. There's no paint.
It's all the same turf. It's just a different colored piece of it.
Yeah, it's sewn in. Like, they don't take the green turf and then spray paint on it. It's a patch that's sewn in, so it's not
okay.
Like on grass, you would have a point.
Sure.
Because they would have to spray paint it in every week.
Yeah.
Well, down front,
that's the only
south,
part.
I don't know if it's turf or if it's grass at Oklahoma State. I've not been there.
It's turf.
Okay.
Boone Pickens Stadium. Ooh.
Other than that, like, I just the other parts I agree with. I just don't think the turf part played any role in Miles Montgomery getting hurt. But I just don't understand why did you think Miles Montgomery was going to rip off a 50-yard touchdown?
No.
With Oklahoma State dropping 9?
If you did, you have just an absurd amount of confidence in this kid that you have not shown the entire season.
Or you have no amount of confidence in your quarterback to execute a Hail Mary.
A Hail Mary?
Right. They threw 5 times in the first half.
You don't need time to throw a Hail Mary. You just stand back and chuck it.
You have to wait for the guys to get down the field.
They're not going to blitz, though, because they're going to be in prevent.
Right.
You would have been fine.
And for what it's worth, I thought the offensive line played pretty good. Like, it's not like
they didn't pass, Brent. They didn't.
No,
back to
pass. Oh no, I agree. No, I'm agreeing with you that like he would have had enough time to just let one fly. But yeah, they didn't even pass, and even when it looks like the pass was there, it was a quick read, nothing there, tuck and run. which is going to lead us to the most glaring topic that we're going to discuss. And that's why I wanted to have Royer here, but he is slowly going to be here for all those waiting for his highly in anticipation for his arrival. But yeah, I just thought, that was interesting. All of a sudden, you take away what was a spectacular first half for Miles Montgomery, finished with 8 rushes for 90 yards and a touchdown, had that 63-yard gainer, longest touchdown run of the year. It's just so many things tie into it. And then all of a sudden you make that play call, second half starts, and it's just, a 3 and out. And it's just hard to get anything rolling when that's kind of the vibe of it. And sure, you were able to try and piece something together, but that led to the first touchdown. And then yet again, get the ball back, another touchdown. It just seems like that was kind of the snowball where you're conservative, then you continue to be a little bit more conservative, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're down way more than you need to be in it with an offense that can't really come back against that sort of a deficit. So that
sort of a deficit. Hell, 10-7 felt insurmountable.
Yeah, I mean, you're not lying, man.
Not if they Hail Mary. Jeez.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. It just, the whole thing is tough. It's tough to stomach. But thought Kiner and Miles did a good job running the football. Obviously, Kiner got hurt, and then you've got Sean Thomas out there, and God bless him. I think on like a 3rd and 9, they handed the ball off to Sean Thomas on a certain play, and it's just like, yet again, it's like, is that even? Are we trying to get that going? You had the interception, obviously, thrown in that third quarter as well. It just was a snowball that kept rolling and rolling and rolling until it was a little bit too late. You even had that one snap with Evan Prater at quarterback, which kind of just tells me, hey, everyone knows he's probably going to be running the ball, so let's stack it up. Then it was 3rd and 9, the last play call of the third quarter, and you hand the ball off to Sean Thomas. He gains a yard. I don't know, and that is what brought in that fourth quarter and the long run. And I don't have anything wrong with having the players out there that were still the second team. The second team. What was that?
He yelled, "Stop him!"
Yeah, the second team defense. Yeah, you saw Brian Sims was out there. Atkins was chasing after him. I don't think the Cowboys were necessarily running up the score, but if they're going to run the football, you got to stop them. So
they were not. They were definitely not running up the score. At no point were they running up the score. That was what it looks like when your defense just quits.
And if they were, stop them.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not going to be a hypocrite because we laughed when UC did this to teams and they cried about running up the score.
True.
Put your players on the field and have your players stop our players. I don't. This is college football.
It shouldn't ever. There's no such thing in my eyes. There's no such thing as running up a score.
What people get their feelings hurt by is we put our subs in. You should put your subs in. No. That's not a thing.
Some of these kids are playing for certain accolades at the end of the season. Like, no, just leave your dudes. If they're leaving their dudes in, that's your fault for putting your subs in.
Well, and it's also everybody wants to put all the younger guys out there. You guys sneak peek. Poor Raekwon Atkins.
Yeah, I mean, so what is it? Is it going to be running up the score from the very first snap if all the young players are out there?
Right. Teams are just running up the score from 14 minutes in the first quarter.
Did Cincinnati run up the score on EKU?
Yeah,
yes.
a little bit.
Yeah, that's my point. Like, just you got one.
Yeah,
It's sports, man. Your job as the opponent is to stop the other team. And if you can't do that, that's like look in the mirror. Doesn't have anything to do with the other team. You know, I don't subscribe to that theory. I'm not, stop them. If you don't want them to score, stop them.
Aaron brought up the whole feel like the team was giving up a little bit there in the fourth quarter, latter half of the game. Do you get the sense that you were seeing a little bit of that out there, Aaron?
I felt like both sides gave up in the second half. I mean,
see, I don't think anybody gives up. I just think they play without confidence. I think like they just get down. And
they're hanging their heads. Yeah, they're hanging their heads. I think they were just trying to finish the game. I don't think they were trying to win at that point. I think they were just trying to finish the game.
Well, and I also think there is a severe psychological cliff when it's 10-7 at halftime on the road against a good team on their homecoming.
Yeah.
And you feel like, okay, let's go get this let's go win this game. Mm-hmm. And you go out, and before you break a sweat, it's 24-7 instead of 10-7. And then you blink and it's 31-7.
How much confidence though did you lose at the end of the half when your coach called a timeout and you ran the ball instead of passing it? And then
we were
then Miles, but then Miles Montgomery goes down on top of that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's hanging their head in the locker room because of that. I just think once you start getting your ass kicked, and they got their ass kicked real quick, you go 3 and out, they score a touchdown in 50 seconds or whatever the hell it was. It felt faster than that. And then you get intercepted and they score another touchdown. And what you're looking at the thing, Brent. When did they score that second touchdown? Is there 12 minutes on the clock?
Yeah. So the first touchdown came at 11:54.
Okay.
On the clock, and then they scored their next touchdown 9:03 on the clock.
Yeah. So 6 minutes gone in the second half, and what you felt like was a game you had a chance to win. Now you're getting boat raced, or you're on the cusp of getting boat raced. You're 3 scores down, and when's the last time they scored 3 times in a game? And then a Baylor, but Baylor stinks too.
Yeah, I mean the thing is this too. You first off, you don't have an option to return kickoffs, which pretty much eliminates a massive play to build any sort of personal push of momentum, because if you have a dynamic kick returner, then you can bust one for simply 30 yards like OK State started the game off with, to kind of give you a little bit of positivity heading into that first offensive series. We're going to just fair catch every single one, and I understand why from here on out. It completely eliminates any possibility of having some sort of a plus play that gets everyone jazzed up and ready. So that part is weird, first off. Then next, yes, it's a 3 and out. So now your defense is like, okay, here we go again. We gotta stop them. And then Ollie Gordon breaks that long run. A couple of plays later, all of a sudden they're in the end zone. And then the very next offensive series is the interception, which was a bad pass and just a bad play call, it seems, as well. And before you know it, then the defense is like, all right, here we go again. And then another touchdown happens. So, it's just, there was not ever a chance once that happened back-to-back times of any sort of a comeback or being in it, if you will, unless there would have been a couple of kind of plays that were unexpected that ended up for long touchdowns, but you lose your home run hitter in the backfield. And then, Emory was 6 of 16 on the day. So I don't know. That's hard to really get things heading in the right direction on that front. But let's go ahead and talk about it. 6 and 16 was Emory's final stat line on the passes completed and attempted, but finished with 117 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 INT, added 33 yards on the ground, 0 touchdowns. Do you guys think this is the last snaps as starting quarterback that Emory Jones will take with the Bearcats this year.
I don't personally see a reason to put him out there again, outside of the fact that he's going to beg to play because this is his last season. But I don't think that you have anything left to prove putting him out there.
I mean, I'm kind of, and I made this point in the bites that Brian's making now, and I made it Saturday night too. The problem with this offense is the pass game.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to trust him to pass, then it's time to see what else you have, especially knowing the backup is more of a passer than a runner.
Right.
I think you have to find out. I think you just and maybe what we'll find out is, the offensive line has not been good enough to ever give Emory time to develop the passing game, and that's a possibility. But I think you have to see. Also, if you're Scott Satterfield, this is now a multi-year process. You're not going to be able to salvage 2023. And you have to start figuring out, look, people don't want to think about this yet or realize this yet, but player acquisition season is 5 weeks away.
Yeah.
Like we are on the cusp of the offseason.
Yep.
I know it's wild because it feels like the season hasn't been going on that long and we're one game past the halfway point. But in today's college football, free agency is 5.5, whatever weeks away.
Yeah. And
you have to figure out, is Brady Lichtenberg a dude? Can he be the starter at Cincinnati next year? And if not, you have to start contemplating what you're going to, what resources you're going to allocate to the portal to go find a quarterback and how much that impacts everything else you want to do. It's not as easy as it used to be.
Right.
It's especially the way that the transfer situation is now is with quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So you're not in a situation where you say, okay, well, we know we've got da-da-da-da-da, and such is already kind of, Samaj Jones in the fold for next year. If it's not Brady Lichtenberg, like Brady Lichtenberg probably looks for somewhere to be the starter.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you have to hit the portal because you'll have a redshirt freshman and a freshman as your only two quarterbacks on the roster. So seeing what I think I saw Saturday, which was a coaching staff that looked at their passing game and felt like it wasn't good enough against the worst pass defense in the league, that tells me that it's time. You guys know how I am about this stuff. I firmly am generally in the camp of the guy that's starting is starting for a reason.
Right.
And I'm not going to pretend to know more than the people calling the shots. This is not me pretending to know more than the people calling the shots. This is me reading the situation in that if the trust already isn't there, then it's time. Emory can help you in the run game, but I don't think they ran for 270 yards or 290 yards or whatever it was. And it wasn't like Emory was sprinting all over the field.
Yeah.
So I just think I think we've gotten to the point. Let's see what Lichtenberg can do.
Yeah. 277 on the ground total, but it's which is but you lose by 6 touchdowns.
It's hard to believe.
It's so yeah. And in today's game, you have to be able to throw the football. There's just no way around it at all. I mean, even with Ollie Gordon going off and being an absolute stud, Alan Bowman had a bunch of really good passes, and
he threw for almost 300 yards.
Yeah, and he pretty much to a new target that he hasn't even thrown to all year. Leon
because
Johnson.
They had guys hurt.
Yeah,
that guy was a D3 transfer.
Yeah, 2 sport athletes,
transfer. 3 receivers down. 3 receivers down.
5 catches, 149 yards. That is just eye popping.
They just the pass defense is atrocious. Alan Bowman, there were a bunch of times he could have popped a tent, like fired up a pellet smoker, did some 3-2-1 ribs. You don't know that. That's 3 hours of smoke, 2 hours of tinfoil, and then 1 hour with the sauce on it.
Okay.
I mean, they can't. The pass rush isn't getting home, and the DBs can't cover. Whatever you do, don't look at the PFF grades for corners.
Yeah.
Have you looked at them?
I did, and even for the backups too. That played a good amount of snaps.
There's 850
especially
players.
Carroll, yeah.
There's 850 corners rated in PFF. Cincinnati has 2 of them. Their 2 starters below 700.
I mean, there's a reason why the good corners left, and even last year, you would think that Justin Harris would then slide into that starting role, but no, it just there's a reason why
Shepard and Arquan Bush were pretty good.
Oh no! I'm just saying that at that point, the writing on the wall was a little bit that Justin Harris, great guy, been through a lot, but if he's he had the injury as well that he overcame, but it's just constant he was never truly the guy, and then all of a sudden, as Stat said, it's the defense backfield is what it is, and that we are playing the players that we have to because that's what
they
got.
Give them the best chance to win.
Yeah, and I mean, you could just tell when Carroll was in there, he was just getting his feet wet in the toughest way possible. But gotta hope somehow.
They ran a guy right past his ear hole for a wide open touchdown.
Yeah,
yeah. He didn't even like the ball was in the air, and he was like. Then he realized that there was a guy standing behind him in the end zone, patiently awaiting the ball.
Yep, patiently. And it got to him quickly. But yeah, that's the other thing. There is a lot of, the lack of a pass rush has become extremely evident. And at this point, you got to point to possibly personnel because if the scheme was so good to pass, then the personnel were the ones that were really racking up the sack numbers, and they were all, quick. Outside, linebacking type players,
twitchy edge rushers,
right? And that just isn't on the team. DG is a guy that is awesome. Obviously the staff loves him, team loves him, but he didn't quite bring that pop up to this point. Even though I think he's leading the team in sacks, I'm not entirely sure, but
yeah, I mean he's been okay,
right,
but he has not been a guy that is consistently harassing the quarterback.
Correct. Yeah. DG's 3.5 sacks to lead the team, which is like it's a pretty low number.
That's hard to fathom.
Yeah.
3.5 leads the team.
Low number. A couple other players with 2, Eric Phillips, Juwan Briggs, Dante Corleone, and then after that, a lot of 1.5s and 1s. Yeah, like Deshaun Pace. You would think at some point, just unleash him on every single play. I don't know. It's just got to mix something up because
the problem is you have to use him in coverage.
Right. Exactly.
It's so bad on the back end. He's out there making plays 25 yards down the field because he has to be.
Yeah.
Like that keeps you from being as creative as you want to be. When nobody else is really able to get home.
Right. I agree. And, back to the quarterback discussion real quick, it is weird in this day and age because, if everyone sees what's happening and everyone has social media, everyone has different ways to kind of get a pulse on the fan base and what the feels are. And people are seeing that, Emory's struggling a little bit, not quite having the season that we all hoped for. And if he continues
to had him in the Heisman race.
True. So the ceiling was the roof back then. Ceiling was the roof back then. This was all Kool-Aid back then. Now it's like
The grapes hadn't fermented yet.
No, this is all tears now. It's like tears mixed with wine. I don't know, but it's a situation where, oh, Aaron, you okay, buddy? But
No.
it's a situation where also then the Brady's could start to be like, we aren't winning games. How come I can't get a shot? Then all of a sudden you get that vibe, someone in your ear possibly saying, hey, we would love for you to be our quarterback next year. Or, we would love to bring you in and get you some looks. And then before you know it.
That's not happening, though, with guys that haven't ever seen the field, Brent.
I mean, it could happen at a small school that recruited them back in high school, and they were like, hey, we've still been tracking you.
If they want to drop down to the MAC to get their chance to play, okay.
Right.
I don't think Brady Drogosh is dropping down to the MAC.
I'm not mentioning that, but I like the faith in them for the future needs to start to be shown in getting some more snaps is all I'm kind of getting to, because I don't know, it just has to happen. And I know Drogosh has the whole red shirt
but I don't
thing.
think with Brady Drogosh, I don't think he's ready to change the passing game.
No.
So I don't know that, given the situation that you're in, that he's changing anything than what you're already seeing right now.
Yeah.
The problem right now is the passing game. And
True.
your opportunity on the roster to jumpstart the passing game is Brady Lichtenberg. If the problem was you got a quarterback back there that's not mobile, then maybe Brady Drogosh is kind of what you're looking at. But the problem that needs to be solved isn't a running quarterback. The problem that needs to be solved is, how do we get over the hump throwing the football consistently, because teams don't have to guard any more than 15 yards down the field.
Right.
There's nobody that can get open down the field.
I agree. I just think it's time where you need to start just getting some looks. Maybe if it's not completely throwing him into the fire, just packages here or there.
Can you put Thrifty Wallers in timeout?
Sure. No, actually, yes, I can.
Is he in the portal?
No, he's being a smartass.
I mean, that guy was something. The what was that? the Midnight Madness, is that what they called it? Or
yeah.
Man,
he had a great arm,
laser rocket arm, man. Catch him at UAB and next year, maybe we'll see. But
no, they already passed over him. They could have gotten him. Trent Dilfer went with the guy that was the guy after him at Lipscomb Academy. He took that guy.
He said, I know about you. We're gonna pass.
Unfortunately, it's not the kid's fault. The kid was a good kid.
Right. Sometimes it's more about who you associate with, or who you're forced to associate with. I don't know. I just think, like you said as well, though, Chad, is like the fan base is frustrated because we aren't, like a lot of the players on the team, we're not used to losing. So if you think making a quarterback change and getting the younger players more time out there is going to like all of a sudden flip a switch and go on a 4-game winning streak and hit a bowl game, then I mean, that's going to be very tough to do. But I don't know. There's a lot of things that need fixing. Because I was even looking at the stats now, and on the year there's only 4 total interceptions. It's just another insane stat to think about, and something that was not anything near what we expected heading into the season. I'd love to go back and hear all of our over-unders of interceptions and turnovers forced that we thought about, because scheme, you think you're gonna get those, but all of a sudden you don't. So
things could be worse.
Yeah,
you could be a Clemson fan. Have you seen what's going on tonight there?
No.
Somebody called into Dabo's coach's show and said, why is Clemson paying you a huge salary just to go 4-4? And his response was, you're part of the problem. If you want to apply for the job, go for it, and good luck to you.
Okay. I mean, that's more fire than we've really ever seen at a Dabo. I tell you that much.
Oh, here you go. To answer your question, I started as the lowest paid coach in this business. I worked my ass off. I'm not going to let this smart ass kid get on the phone, tell me how to do my job. I work for the board of trustees.
Rawr.
Wow. So it was someone younger calling in, huh? That is okay. Aaron, let it out. What you got to say?
It's so degrading when you that boy. Oh, come on,
Yeah.
man.
The boy was probably 46 years old.
It was someone like me.
It was Aaron.
I actually
It
called
was
him.
Aaron.
It was me. I'm still chapped about him calling me boy.
There was like 90 seconds where Aaron went dark and turned mute on. And it was because they were like, all right, Aaron, we're coming to you.
I was on the phone.
Yeah, he was on the phone with Dabo's.
Perfect. Yeah.
Dabo's
with Dabo. And so quietly we found out who Aaron's second team is.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Hey, coach, loved you when you were winning, but what's going on now? That's what are you doing for me now?
The least believable part of the story is a boy listening to over-the-air radio. Fair.
Yeah.
Someone that does over-the-air radio. The median age of callers is not low. It's not low.
Thrifty Walrus is as back as Joe Burrow.
Yeah,
46 is a boy compared to Brian. Luther Richardson went 4 for 38 yards in his JUCO mop-up game this weekend. So maybe Walrus is onto something. Hey, 4 for 4.
Hey.
We take it. Emory Jones was 2 for 5 in the first half Saturday.
And look, he's big enough to take some hits in that pocket.
Yeah. I do honestly. I hate this for Emory. Like he's been a stand-up guy. He's worked hard. He's stood in front of the media when times have gotten tough and answered our questions and done everything the right way. But I just think, the offense needs passing, and you've got a passer that's number 2. Let's see. Let's
let's give him a shot.
Yeah, you're at home. It's not like UCF has played exceptionally well this year.
It's pretty much the AAC schedule the rest of the way.
Right.
3 of the games for that matter, but taking Kansas out of the equation. But
yeah, I mean, you might as well figure out what you got.
Yeah, because a lot of other teams across the country are going to be doing that same thing as well.
Joffrey, we're not talking about YouTube comment sections. We're talking about calling into terrestrial radio. Do you call into Mo and Lance on a regular basis, Geoff?
No chance. Even I listen to the coaches' shows the day after when they put it in podcast form because wife's out the commercials are like half of the daggone show when it's live.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
That and I mean, we're usually talking for that night. Like,
yeah,
there's stuff going on. Like, I don't have time.
Right.
I did make a funny at the tip-off dinner the other night.
Okay.
They were getting ready to do like a Q&A session, and I was sitting kind of up front with B Fox at the Cincy Reigns table. Right. And Wes was like, "Anybody got any questions?" And I just raised my hand. He was like, "No."
I love it. Yeah,
I got some questions.
I got a little question here now. Yeah, I want to hear a little bit more about that during the basketball segment. I mean, I was hoping we'd get Royer on just to get some sort of a football talk from him, but I guess that time has come and passed. Up next is UCF and the Orlando Technical Knights of Gold have not had a great year. They had the chance to kind of get things rolling in the right way and let Baylor come back from down a bunch at home. Then all of a sudden, the whole frustrations with Gus Malzahn's popping out a little bit from the fan base. This, that, and the other. Things aren't all smiley sunshine and rainbows down there in Orlando, and it's a team that a lot of the players on the Bearcats are familiar with. Probably not too happy about what happened last year against them. So I think the senior leaders and the leaders that have been here and played against them before kind of bring the juice a little bit. Gotta hope during the week leading up to it. So thoughts on UCF? I know Aaron's second favorite team, I think, is UCF. Last I was told. So should be a good one.
What the hell are you talking about?
Just trying to get you jazzed up, man. Get you involved, baby.
Aaron's energy has been really low yesterday and today.
It's hard to be excited right now.
Your job is to have
your job to bring the pizzazz, baby.
The season has turned into this cold, wet weather. This Bearcat season is damn near over, and it's been a rough ride.
To be a competent podcast, live show participant.
My competence should not be questioned.
Your energy is questioned.
That's fine. As far as UCF goes, John Rice Plumlee doesn't do anything for me. He doesn't do anything for them. He had 4 turnovers in the last game. If they can turn the ball over, if they can just create turnovers, for the love of God, create some turnovers. Turn your head around and catch the ball instead of getting the PI.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just, you're at home. You're playing for bold season is still alive until it's dead. And I don't believe even the words coming out of my mouth. But
I don't believe the words that are coming out of your mouth.
But until
it's dead. Don't believe the words that are coming out of your mouth.
And until it's over, it's not over. That said, you have to make some changes to try and inject some type of energy into this team. I don't think the towel waving is going to be enough. And that would give us something to talk about. That would give me more energy if they started to do something, anything. I feel like the meme poking the Bearcats football team with a stick. You alive?
Do something.
Do something.
You alive?
Yeah.
Darren, practice is open on Tuesday, the same as it always is. I will be able to see who is taking reps with the ones. I just won't be able to tell you until Saturday.
Bum bum bum.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I thought that Lichty looked pretty good when he came in. Sure, it was probably that touchdown series might have come against some of the different backups or that Oklahoma State was cycling in, but he even had. I mean, that was a great touchdown pass to Aaron Turner. It's a great couple of plays made. He used his feet as well. So for what it's worth, I thought it was a pretty good performance by Lichty. But I think Dave was mentioning it on the brunch that you've got to get the reps in practice are just as important as getting the game reps. Where you're with the first team, getting things flowing that way, so that you aren't okay. It's Saturday now. You're thrust into there, and good luck. Now you get the recognition and the vibes going throughout the week at practice. So excited to see what that looks like.
Well, and I imagine he's already had some chemistry with some of the twos, so you could potentially see some. If you're looking for what the future holds, you
saw Prater, yeah.
Correct. Prater was out there making some grabs. He finished with 2 catches on the day, which was second on the team.
By the way,
that's my first change. Evan Prater is starting opposite Xavier Henderson for the rest of the season.
Okay.
Done. Period.
Totally good with that.
He's done more with his opportunity than anybody else, not named Xavier Henderson in that wide receiver room. Evan Prater is my wide receiver 2 for the rest of the year. Find out what you got.
Yeah. I'm with
because
you.
there's a pretty good chance he's your wide receiver 1 next year. So I'm more passionate about that than Emery and Lichtenberg. Evan Prater needs to be wide receiver 2 for the next 5 games, 4 games, whatever the hell it is.
But
However much misery is left.
That also involves, if Emery is your guy, him being able to look past wide receiver 1. And
sure, but I don't care.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Aaron Turner gets some more touches too. I thought Turner had some really good plays throughout it. What we got here?
Read it, Brent.
Dirty Walrus says, has Scott Satterfield thought about developing a team-first culture and making a statement? I'm thinking he could wear a windbreaker with TEAM on his back. Something for the guys to rally around.
I'm going to lose my mind if there is anybody, if there's not a change on special teams to Reed's point. I don't particularly care on kickoff or punt return who it is, but I think you have to make a change there. There were 2 returns this past week, a punt return for 5 yards on a bounce in the rain, and a kick return for 20 yards.
Yeah, like I said before, one of the biggest momentum shifting plays in games we've seen it as Bearcat fans. Saw it in the most historic, one of the most historic games in program history was the Marty Gilliard touchdown kickoff return that kind of sparked them a little bit there at the end of the first half, and then you saw it again at Indiana. If Trey Tucker doesn't get that kickoff return for a touchdown, then you probably are facing an uphill battle the rest of the way against the Hoosiers on the road. So it's truly a dynamic play that is being just completely taken away.
I mentioned to Dave post show that I don't think that it's going to be any worse than what you have currently if you put literally anybody else back there.
Right.
And Dave's response was, of course it's going to be worse. But I still don't believe how it's any worse than this.
Well, that's the thing, is it's not like they've done anything
positive.
Set a high bar. We've had one kick return from Henderson, and that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. The one long one kind of bloats the average kick return rate, which he's got 9 returns on the season, an average of 20 yards on the return. So pretty much barely getting it back to starting range if you do fair catch it each time. And then Braden Smith has the 12 punt returns for a total of 36 yards. It's a 3-yard average.
It can't be worse. How is it? Yeah. How can it be worse than 3 yards per, and you've given the ball up twice?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it really can be. A name that Sat has brought up numerous times as well is Barry Jackson. So I'm excited to finally see a little bit more Barry Jackson out there. So
I don't want to see him this week.
This week?
I don't want to burn the kid's red shirt. And I know everybody says, why are you worried about red shirts when we're in the transfer portal era? Because if he does stick around, why would you waste a red shirt, burn a red shirt on this season?
Has he only played once so far?
I believe so.
Okay. I mean, obviously he was in that EKU game, had that long catch and run, but yeah, no, I agree. And especially because then Nico is able to get another year with him in the weight room and progressing him. And now the whole COVID year is gone. So yeah, no, I do agree with you there. So
he says there's someone from the Brian Mason coaching tree you could bring in. The problem is there's nobody as smart as Brian Mason. Like, the dude is just wired different.
He is the tree.
Right. Like, I don't know that tree even has branches.
No.
Because he's like a savant. Like, he
just one of those where redwoods that's like 100 feet in the air. That's just all.
It's a one of one.
Yeah. Right. It's just he's
The guy has like literally like 17 degrees.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Like
It is
he
impressive.
actually he went to like 5 places as a grad assistant and got graduate degrees from all of them. That's not what grad assistants do. They go and they take like one class that allows them to work with the football team as a grad assistant. Brian Mason was like, "Oh no, I'm just going to collect graduate degrees."
I'm getting another one. Don't worry.
Right. He's probably at like Butler getting one now.
Yeah, probably just in his free time. But yeah, no, Reed, I agree. 6 straight losses, and
you can't lose to Orlando Tech
at home. I mean,
truthfully, you can't lose to Miami at home, but they did.
But Aaron, we're past that. I don't give a shit about Miami. That was 2 fucking months ago. I don't care. You can't lose to Orlando Tech at home.
Especially because one of the biggest crutches to kind of was how hard it is taking the step up to the Big 12. Well, now you've got 2 AAC teams and then a team that was picked below you and the coaches, the preseason AP people. And it's just like
dead wrong.
Right, exactly. But still, we're talking, this is, yes, Kansas, I guess you can keep in that mix. But when it comes to Houston, West Virginia, and then UCF starting this weekend, I mean, they're in similar boats, obviously not with the coaching change and whatnot, but similar boats is taking that step up. And obviously it hasn't gone well for Houston or UCF, but now is when you can start to say, okay, let's take down this team that we've played numerous times and supposedly now a rivalry or one of the Bearcats rivalries in the conference. So I just can't lose this game, man. Cannot lose this game. But I'm sure the UCF talk will be plentiful the rest of the way on old BCJ. But I don't have much more time for the Space Knights of Gold, unless you guys want to continue talking. But no, we can go ahead and timestamp this, unless we want to touch on some of these questions over here.
We can get this question from Randy real quick. What letter grade do you give the coaching staff considering the hand they were dealt? It's incomplete, Randy. I know that's not what people want to hear. And I'm not saying the coaching staff has done a good job. I'm just saying it's impossible to know because they don't have good quarterback play. They don't have good offensive line play. They have a terrible secondary. And you have an offense or defensive line that, wow, great against the run, can't get pass rush. Mm-hmm. So you can't defend the pass and you can't pass in college football 2023. It's like that, you can't be successful. If you can't do those two things, you can't win at this level. You could maybe be gimmicky enough to win in the American. And I think with this outside zone scheme, they probably would have been, if they're running for 250 yards, they're 6th in the nation in rushing against the Big 12. They would be a service academy in the run game in the American. I don't know how you give them any semblance of a grade considering everything that we've watched. And is the quarterback their problem? Sure. But also, who would you have gone and gotten if it wasn't Emory Jones? What answer do we have there? I mean, and I look at it and I can't even. The roster issues are so abundant, I can't even get to the coaching.
Right.
Because I don't know what you could scheme up that would make this any different. Because what would you, hypothetically, if I told you have a team that struggles to pass the ball and you have a defense that can't defend the pass, especially deep down the field, you would say, well, then you better be elite at running the ball and stopping the run. Well, okay, going into this game, they were top 10 in rush defense, top 10 in rush offense.
Yeah.
And it hasn't mattered. It hasn't resulted in wins.
That's
So,
pretty elite.
Yeah, that tells me there's very little that coaching was going to change. Like, if the coaching was bad, they wouldn't be top 10 in those two categories. Now, I'm sure run defense isn't top 10 anymore after Ollie Gordon.
I'll quickly look, but
just in general, like, there are signs that the coaching is not a complete, utter train wreck.
Yeah.
There are things that if you look, like, the coaching needs to be better. Absolutely. But right now, what we have is a talent issue that doesn't allow you to accurately judge anything.
Gosh. So this kind of hurts a lot, but the Ollie Gordon game, we'll dub it as, has now moved Cincinnati's rush defense to 46th in the country.
Dropped them 40 spots, essentially.
Still,
Boy, got talent.
Offensively running the football, they're 6th in the country.
Yeah.
UCF is 4th in the country. They're coming into town this weekend, so that's just
T-Win. There's a reason the D-line can't get to the quarterback. Is it the scheme or the backups to the linemen? T-Win, if you go back to our season preview show, what did I point out, Brent?
We got a lot of big dudes that can be space eaters and run stoppers, but there's not a Myjai Sanders out there.
There's not a quick, twitchy, like, look, I said then, everybody's calling this the best D-line in the Big 12 in the preseason, and they're getting all these accolades. And while I agree that there are a lot of dudes, there's not a difference maker. There's not a
when it comes to pass rush, yeah.
When it comes to pass rushing, there is not that twitchy outside. And guess what? Those are maybe the hardest dudes to find in college football.
Yeah.
Like, they are few and far between. Everybody is looking for them. But I said then, and I prefaced it with, I'm going to take a lot of heat for this, but I'm not sure this defensive line is quite at the level that they're being billed. And that is simply because I don't know, even if you include the linebackers, the rush linebackers, that there are guys that are going to change the game in the passing game. And that's what we've seen. Like, it's unavoidable that there's just not that long, twitchy, get up the field no matter what and get after the quarterback. That guy is just not on the roster. Like, you mentioned Gresham earlier.
Yep.
I think you have to have Jamal Williams and Tyler Gillison on the field as often as possible through the last 4 weeks. Because you have to find out if they are potentially one of those guys. And if they're not, you have to go find one. Like,
yeah, they had Sims out there too. So
yeah.
it
and I really like Sims. Like, I think Sims has a chance to be really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, there's the other problem when it comes to, like, play the young guys. Who? I mean, I'd play Raekwon Atkins the rest of the way because I believe he's already burned his red shirt because he was playing special teams.
Right.
So play him at corner. Play him opposite Jordan Young. If you're going to play Jordan Young, play Raekwon Atkins on the other side and let him figure it out. What's going to happen? Somebody's going to beat him deep. Been there, done that. Read the book. It sucked. Don't want to read it again, but a lot of shitty books get a sequel. Brian Sims. I would play Brian Sims. You all right, Eric?
I'm good.
Well, they turned the sequel into a movie, and then you get to the third movie. Too. It's just don't watch the third movie of one of the best.
Yes, when there was only 10 high school players in the class of 2023. So yeah, But I mean, even redshirt freshmen, like those guys are all mostly gone too.
Wow. You know what? Hey, if there's a will, there's a way.
Who do we got? Hold on. Let's take it a minute to pull up. J.Q. Hardaway gone. JoJo Bermuda's gone. Luther Richardson, Mario Eugenio, Quincy Burrows, Marcus Peterson. Jonathan Thompson's getting a chance. Tyler Gillison's getting a chance. Kim Willis is getting a chance.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing more Oliver Bridges. Kalen Carroll has gotten a shot recently.
Mm-hmm. And now with all the and sure, this isn't an injury podcast and we don't really comment on those, but if there is some sort of an opening in the running back room, why not give some extra touches to Stephen Bird?
I don't think he traveled. So you only have a limited number of guys that can travel to road games.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephen Thomas is on one of the special teams. Or not Stephen Thomas, but Sean Thomas.
Yeah.
Is on one of the special teams. So he's on the travel squad. I don't think Bird is yet. So that's why you saw Sean Thomas at Oklahoma State. But if now you're at the point that you need running backs, like you move Stephen Bird up to the travel squad, or you're at home Saturday, so he's going to be dressed and ready to go Saturday. Give it to him.
Yeah.
But running back isn't a problem.
No, not at all.
We're not worried about running back going forward. We're worried about edge rusher, corner, potentially safety, wide receiver, quarterback.
Yeah, just some names. Obviously, kind of that redshirt sophomore year is when you got to really start to make a decision for yourself, and the coaching staff has to have extra eyes too. Rob Jackson, Jamal Williams, you've already mentioned. Brady Lichtenberg's involved in that.
Played a decent amount Saturday.
Yeah, he's been getting more and more reps. I mean Isaiah Cox for a while. We heard his name a lot during the offseason of previous seasons and whatnot. It could be time to see what he kind of brings to the table, because it's just time is now for all these situations. I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see what it's like a week from now when it comes to those things, and also a week from now will be the start of basketball season too. So that's going to be even more exciting. Anything more on football, man? It's just there's the unknowns are going to start to be unraveled a little bit the upcoming weeks, I feel like, and before you know it, like you said, I mean that the final game of the year is less than a month away. So
right,
it's the end is near for year one, and then probably the most important off season in Cincinnati football in a very long time is then upon us. So we'll see how they attack it. But it is UCF this weekend. It is the hated AAC brethren coming up and visiting Old Nippert again. So hopefully the Bearcats show them the same hospitality they did.
I can handle losing to Miami because Miami doesn't have any fans, so you never hear about it. If they lose to UCF and don't win a game in this conference this year, those night clerks at the Howard Johnson are going to be fucking insufferable. And I don't feel like dealing with that. I just don't.
Fair enough.
That's all. All right, that's a timestamp brought to you by Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next-day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom, baby. I don't think there's anything quite on the football recruiting side of things. Obviously, there were the 2 commits last week that we talked on the BBP. But a lot of that stuff is going to be coming out within the next month and a half, as Chad alluded to with the portal opening and everyone kind of honing in
early
on
signing day.
the
Can they
early
hold
sign-
on to everybody? Like, is there anybody that pops up
right.
that's a flip candidate? Like, there's a lot of action imminent.
Yep.
On the football roster side that we're 5 weeks away from.
Yep, exactly. So basketball recruiting too is just obviously the Tyler Perry show for the time being.
I've been digging around.
Show.
Travis Perry. I have no indication that he went to Michigan. I can't get it confirmed.
Yeah.
I have it confirmed that he was in Lyon County on Saturday for a golf, like his something for his golf team.
Mm-hmm.
I would think if he was at Michigan by now, one of the Michigan sites would be reporting that he was there.
Right.
But
and they're normally pretty good, the Michigan sites. So
they've got a couple really, really big, large sites.
Yep.
I don't think he went to Michigan. All indications are that he plans on announcing next week. Next week is signing day, next Wednesday. So I'm guessing as things currently stand, Cincinnati and Ole Miss, until I hear otherwise.
Little 2-horse race. Yeah, that Michigan visit kind of came up a little bit. It was a little bit quieter, and then seemed like it was going to be a thing to happen, right? And then all of a sudden, it just word starts.
Not if you've been listening to me,
right? But I just kind of tea leaf type situation on.
I know. I am the tea leaves, Brent. I am the tea leaves.
Right. Exactly. So the whole Travis Perry, man, that dude can he's a bucket getter. So obviously track that. Those pesky Ole Miss mans and their new head coach wheeling and dealing. So we'll see if they can hold them off. And hey, yet again in the mix for a top 100 recruit. There's nothing better than hearing that.
Three. I mean, you're looking at potentially 3 top 100 recruits in a year and 5 in 2 years. I mean, maybe Mick at the beginning of the Big East was able to do that. There hasn't been many 2-year stretches like that around here in a while.
No, not at all. Can see other as obviously first off, pretty excited to see this whole the movement, the basketball version of Let It Fly coming out this Thursday, episode 1. I'm kind of intrigued to see how deep into the season they're going to go with it, because obviously it comes out this Thursday. Then
time out.
Yeah.
Linwood says he lives in Jacksonville, and UCF fans really just want to win this year. They're nervous about this week. There's UCF fans in Jacksonville? I didn't think there were any outside of like 20-mile radius in Orlando.
It's funny.
They graduate and then they go to Jacksonville and run the night desk at Howard Johnson. Okay, yeah, I get it. Yeah. It makes sense.
It's true.
Well, Orlando has a plethora of hotels.
That's why I just didn't think of them leaving. But then it was like, well, some might want to, spread their wings. So they go to Jacksonville and manage a Howard Johnson there. I would also imagine, Aaron, the upward mobility in Jacksonville probably better than Orlando because there's so many of them in Orlando.
That's a good point. You raise a good point. But yeah. Yeah, I always wear Cincy gear whenever I'm in Florida, and it is interesting to hear how many people not really bark at me, but kind of mention it and say, "Oh yeah, I'm a UCF fan." Blah blah blah.
After Florida and Florida State, I root for UCF.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
When they're good, I'm a big Knights fan.
Yeah.
But that's that. Obviously on the basketball side of things, the movement, cool little trailer dropped literally an hour before we came on. Looks like and this will be even more interesting because obviously with football, there's 100+ people out there. In basketball, it's a pretty small, tight knit team.
Yeah.
So
They're like, so what they do in football is essentially they take 100 kids and cut it down to like 10 people you focus on for something like this. In basketball, there's 13 kids. So like you should get a pretty good look at everybody in this thing.
yeah, exactly. Which is gonna be fun. And it'll be fun. Probably getting a little, I'm sure they're not going to dive too deep into it, but a little behind the scenes look at the biggest elephant in the room still, the the Aziz and Jamil statuses and whatnot. And so it was good to see Yost come out, the AG of Ohio, and kind of bid his siding with the Bearcats in the situation, and pretty much putting forward the same letter that's very similar letter that the Tez Walker situation had.
Except the NCAA politicking and basically saying we'll decide when we decide.
Right.
Stick a fork in it.
Yeah, which is like, I don't know. It is also puzzling to me, but I mean, pretty much all they said is like, they didn't really say anything. It was a whole bunch of like
legalese.
Nonsense. Yeah, exactly. And saying like, well, we'll make a decision when we make a decision. So screw you.
Yeah.
Which I guess now is the next step is just putting more pressure on, bring more heat. So
yeah, the AG should do as he said and file a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't talk about it. Be about it.
Be about it, baby. Be about it. Obviously that was the biggest thing. Also, this past week, Chad, you were there in attendance for the, what do they call it? The kickoff,
the tip-off dinner.
Tip-off dinner.
They don't kick in football.
They do not. I forgot about that for a second. The
Did you see the Nate Bargatze thing on Saturday Night Live?
No.
Oh my God, it was so funny. He was George Washington,
Okay.
and all he was doing was explaining how America was going to go the other way on like a system of weights and measurements. And going pounds instead of liters, and miles instead of kilometers. And then they got into like sports or whatever. And he was like, we got this game called football where you throw the ball. And they were like, you don't kick the ball in football? And he was like, well, sometimes you kick the ball. It was one of the funniest Saturday Night Live sketches I've seen.
I need to check it out
forever. Nate Bargatze's hilarious. I love him.
I'll check it out. How was the tip-off dinner? Not the kickoff dinner. That'll come with a whole new, fresh sheet of new players, but months from now. Yeah. Tip-off dinner was this past week. Excitement, obviously, around the program. What were your thoughts coming away from that, Chad?
It was good. Aaron and I talked about it a little bit on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of old heads. Saw a lot of guys I haven't seen in a little while.
Mm-hmm.
One of them that threw the most famous right cross in UC history.
Oh.
And the big fella, Yancey Gates, is back in town, and I guess he's moved on from playing professionally.
Okay.
Hanging him up.
We exchanged numbers, so you never know when you might pop on one of these shows, and Yancey Gates is hanging out.
Oh man, we could get some quotable material out of one Yancey Gates.
Oh, we could. So I'm excited about that. That was really good. There was some good Q&A stuff. Wes, the main event was Wes standing up there with the team. Mm-hmm. He had guys come up one by one and would give a funny story. He let a couple of them talk. The star of that, obviously, being Vic.
Right.
Shocker.
Wes was like, Vic, how many times in practice do you think you're right and I'm wrong? And remember, I control who starts the scrimmage on Saturday. And Vic was like, well, you're always right. But Vic got a couple comedic lines in, and the segment with Dan was great. The segment with Josh was great, where Wes talked about, like, every time he would call Josh, like, Josh just doesn't really talk. And he's like, I would call Dan and I would look down and we've been on the phone for 50 minutes and we haven't talked about anything. And I would call Josh and we would hang up and I would look and it would be like 3 minutes and 57 seconds. And I would call Dollar and be like, how long did you talk to him? And Dollar would be like, 2 minutes and 37 seconds. Josh isn't a guy that talks a whole lot. Now, he's coming out of his, but then the anecdote was, if you talk to guys on the team, they're like, Josh doesn't shut the hell up.
Right.
But, when he's in alternate settings,
then that's
a little more quiet. Yeah. So it was a great event. Had some Montgomery in. They had a live auction. They had silent auctions. A lot of good stuff. A lot of money raised for Cincy Reigns. The entire event was a Cincy Reigns event. So it was really good.
Then obviously you alluded a little bit to well first off, that I think it was revealed there, wasn't it, the whole Steve Logan getting back involved?
Yeah, Steve Logan will be doing some radio early in the season. Terry will be doing the TV side, and then when they get back into conference play, then Terry will switch back over. But it'll be awesome to have Steve around. Also, talk to Steve, and he asked when he could pop back on and talk some Bearcat basketball. So, sometime here in the near future, we're gonna have Yancey Gates and Steve Logan.
Some dudes,
Steve was great when he was on here last time, because he was like, wait a minute, can I talk about this kind of stuff? We were like, yeah.
Whatever you want, bro.
Unload the clip, man.
We're here.
Do it. Yeah. It was fun.
Given his new position, though, he may have to be a little more guarded with some of his.
Well,
students.
True.
Stuff that the statute of limitation has expired on things that happened in like 2001, Aaron.
Yeah.
Although in today's political climate, probably not.
He's the one that revealed that Donald Little was blind in one eye and would pass it to him. They'd be like, Donald, why didn't you catch that? He's like, I couldn't even see it. But yeah, anyway, that was pretty funny. But
that was one of our best. That was one of our best segments we've ever done. Was with Steve.
Oh yeah, he was great.
From an attic, I think it looked like he was in an attic.
Yeah. And then his family would randomly pop in. You see him in the background. You're like, oh, hey, what's up? I dig it. So you alluded, and I'm sure there was a lot of rah-rah about, hey, we believe we're going to get these waivers and whatnot in line. And so that's going to be the rah-rah I continue to push out as well and hope for the best there. But you alluded to a little bit the scrimmage that came this past weekend and
I don't know a lot.
Right. 70-68 final score against Indiana State in a game that probably meant a lot to Indiana State, the scrimmage. And it was funny in the presser last week, Wes mentioned that these are a glorified practice to them. That's why there's no need for any media coverage or no need for anything there other than just the two teams and the officials, and then you figure it out what you want to see coming out of it. Obviously, Bearcats were down a couple players, and then well, more than a couple. But the end result is probably, don't want to dive in too much more than what it was, other than they're probably able to get some rotations in that they needed to see, and probably able to get enough out of it.
Probably a lot of rotations they didn't want to see.
Yeah,
when you're playing,
that they hope they never see.
Without
3.5 dudes.
Without Jamil,
without
CJ,
and
CMOS was limited. He played early, he played late.
Yeah,
I mean, he played some, but he didn't play substantial minutes.
So
yeah, I mean, it's practice. It's essentially just practice. It sounded like Vic played well. I heard Dan played well. Not surprising. It sounded like turnovers were an issue. But if you don't have CJ and CMOS on the floor, like those are your highest IQ players,
Right.
You're going to run a lot through them. You're going to, in practice, you're going to rely heavily on them to be the guys that kind of centerpiece your offense, and didn't really have either of those guys. And if you did, it was for small stretches with CMOS. So 2-point game at that. Vic, from what I heard, had a putback from short range as time expired that went off the rim and didn't go in. I don't put a whole lot. I put as much into that as I do that they lost a close game to Maryland, who's supposed to be in the top 25.
Right.
Like it's practice with refs. That's all it is.
Literally, that is truly all it is. Yeah, and I mean, I think the other CJ Anthony actually saw some time too. I mean, Indiana State is 111th on Ken Palm coming into the year, so they're not a terrible team. Finished dead even at 100 last year. Looks like they lost to Bradley, and that might have been the game before the championship in the MVC. It might have been the championship game, but either way, they're not a bad team. And so when you are facing the adversity that they were facing, on top of it, just having it be a glorified practice, I think the final score doesn't really need to really have too much of an inkling, which is why these super secret scrimmages are supposed to be somewhat super secret, because I'm sure the coaching staff doesn't want the fan base to be like, oh no, they lost to an MVC team, but that's just what it is.
Could be worse. You could be Louisville, who just lost to Kentucky Wesleyan 7.
I know. Exactly. IU was losing by 5 at halftime yesterday to U Indy.
Yeah. I mean, it's
nothing.
It's preseason. It's coaches working on things. It's trying to figure out what the problem is, like, they don't want to talk about it. We don't know what their strategies were in each game. Like Wes has already said, I have a different strategy for game 1 and game 2. He won't tell us what those are, but it's much ado about nothing.
Yeah. The much ado about something is a week from today. So
right.
That'll be when the much ado about something is upon us. And
so as a reminder, we will be here Sunday night next week. All of you here, Sunday, 8:00, we will be here. And then the basketball game will be Monday. And then Aaron and I will go live Monday night when I get home from the game to break down the season opener.
And shouts, of course, as well to Drew Adams, assistant coach. Him and his family welcomed Sloan Elisa Adams into the world.
I mean, Sunday will kind of be the big basketball preview show that we've been hyping for weeks.
We'll talk about who we got. We'll talk about who we got.
By Sunday night, you got them or you don't.
And I'm excited because Aaron's going to have some pizzazz that Sunday night.
Because there's something fun to talk about.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, so all the cards are on the table right now, man. I tell you what, and hopefully it could be a fun week leading up to Sunday and leading up to
what's this fun week you speak of?
Win against UCF.
Oh, I forgot what a fun week was.
Maybe maybe potentially hearing good news. You never know. I try to be the eternal optimist at all times. Okay,
we know.
These days I've been leaning on, hey, when's the grief?
You should try it too, Aaron. It's pretty doggone good. I tell you what.
I'm the grief eater this season.
Chad, let's hear the funny again.
I said, we're at the point in this season where I just wonder when the grief is going to hit so I can get back to feeling like normal.
Oh, Chad.
I like making you guys uncomfortable sometimes.
All right, let's timestamp this and Chad, anything more on the?
He's squirming, Aaron.
Anything more on the on the waiver things, or are we just kind of waiting in leeway for that?
Oh shit! That will be during Sunday night Bengals Bills. You can go at
Ray.
6. You can probably go at 6 Sunday night. Give everybody a lead. I don't know. We'll talk it out.
Yeah.
We'll talk it out. I think that game starts at what, 8:30? Sunday
Yeah.
night games are 8:30.
8:20.
Maybe we could go at 7.
Yeah. Get in and out.
And get in and out.
Yeah.
I mean, even
if you think that Brent is ever going to run an hour and a half show, an hour and 20 show.
Well, but the point being,
Dog,
even
I
if we
haven't
get
talked that
done like
much.
15 minutes later, like at 8:45, it's still early in the Bengals game. So it's not terrible.
No mailbag.
No, we don't have a sponsor for it right now, so we can cut it technically.
Yeah, technically.
We'll
But
figure something out.
yeah.
Stay tuned. We'll let you know on the socials when we're going to go live Sunday night. I promise we won't go live and compete with Bengals Bills the entire game because Aaron's head might explode. Because right now, that's the only thing in his life that gives him joy.
And my daughter.
And your daughter. And that's it.
I used to bring him joy too, but now he's just saying bad things about me. So
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies, to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick, 513-470-2029, and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
All right. Mailbag brought to you by Home Field. You're muted because you were coughing, Chad.
I was not.
All right.
Home Field's a premium college apparel brand based in Indianapolis. Their commitment is to creating incredibly comfortable, officially licensed apparel with vintage college designs. They have a growing collection of over 150 plus colleges to choose from, including the Cincinnati Bearcats. Go to homefieldapparel.com, enter BCJ23 at checkout, and save 15% off of your first order. Holiday season's coming up, so go to Home Field.
I wore the hoodie.
I had mine on this morning when I went to take the dogs out, and it was very cold at 7 o'clock this morning.
All right. Mailbag a little light today. I get it.
Me too. Thank you to all of you. Thank you.
What is the ideal quarterback playing time management program over the last 4 games, understanding that under no circumstances can Brady Drogosh have his red shirt burned? Well, he already played in one game. So you're down to 3.
I just don't think Drogosh answers any of the questions that you have right now. Like, I don't think he's ready to stand in the pocket and be a passer.
Well, we like to do other sport analogies all the time here. People talk about, especially in baseball, that you bring a kid up too early and you wreck his confidence for the rest of his career.
Right.
Do you really want to do that behind this offensive line this season?
If I thought he was more ready to pass, I think I would at least be interested in finding out, Aaron. But at the stage he is at, where the passing part is still in development for him, I don't want him back there making one read and taking off. I think you use these last 4 games to find out where Brady Lichtenberg is at. And here's the thing. I know people are look, okay, so Brady Drogosh he's played 1 game. You play Brady Lichtenberg 1 game, and then you play Brady Drogosh the last 3. I wouldn't do that. I think I want to see 4 games of Brady Lichtenberg. Let's see where he's at, what it looks like, what he looks like with a chance to develop, right? Who he is the first time you throw him out there as a starter is not going to hopefully be who he is in game 4. Jason Bean for Kansas. is a guy that's developed. The kid at Iowa State developed. The guy at Oklahoma State's a little different. I think he's on his 5th school. But like, let the kid go out there and have 4 games to show what he's got. So not only does Cincinnati know where he stands, so he knows where he stands. I think that's fair.
Brent, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think you saw at numerous schools across the country that tried to do that multiple quarterback look, especially, I mean, Oklahoma State's the one team that kind of obviously comes to mind for this.
It's a disaster.
Michigan last year, before they went all in with JJ McCarthy, it's kind of just, neither player ever really gets any semblance of a motor rolling, any
right.
ability to kind of flow with the team. It's kind of just an erratic, like, okay, throw this guy in for this series, see how he does, throw this guy in on the next series. I could see possibly like a similar situation to what has happened the last couple of games when, like,
we'll find out tomorrow, but the chances are Emory Jones will be the starter on Saturday.
Yeah. I think
I'm just stating my opinion.
I think Sat probably wants to win a game. And he probably sees this Saturday as a true chance to win it with what they've been doing so far, I guess. And to the point where maybe he does start Emory this game and maybe has a shorter leash than 3 quarters type situation. But I don't know. I think you do have to give a little bit more time to one of the 2 Bradys, and obviously Lichty is the first to see what he's got and let him get into the flow of the game and see if he can't build up some sort of a consistent good looks in the final few stretches of the way. So I agree with you on that. As far as getting Drogosh in there, yeah, those final 3 games, sure. If you can find a good time to get him in and get him some snaps, then definitely do it. But don't force the hand like you were saying, Aaron.
In the chat here real quick, did Coach Satterfield forego the post-game presser at Oklahoma State? No, we just didn't have anybody there as Bearcat Journal to
there was a post-game press conference. It's up somewhere on the internet.
All right. Next question. What's the percentage the Godfather is off to the draft after this year?
He has indicated he wants to stay as long as he can stay. That is a Godfather thing. That is his personality. I don't know. I don't know what number I would put on it. Logic would say, go get your money, young man. But Dante's a different dude. This city means a lot to him. And he is a big deal in this city. So
I know he's talked a lot about the relationship with his mother. Has there ever been any talk about him graduating and how much that means to his mother?
I mean, I'm sure it's there, but that's not really a thing. If he goes to the NFL after this year, he'll have the same opportunities like a Sauce had to graduate. And he's the type of kid that would put in that work.
Right.
So I don't think that's as much of a factor as it might be for some guys. I think he just likes being around. I guess we'll find out what kind of toll this season has taken on him. I don't know. I'll go 55-45. He stays, and I reserve the right to change that accordingly as we get closer.
Right?
Yeah, I'd say 25% chance he leaves. Kind of for everything that Chad mentioned, but more also, it's going to take a big pitch from the staff, saying, hey, we've got this kind of a goal in the next season. Obviously, you're going to be a big time piece of that, and I think he does relish in being that hometown hero, still trying to get things right for the city. Him and Deshaun Pace has mentioned it numerous times, is the whole, leaving the program better than it was when you first entered it, which is hard for
Good luck.
these guys to do
Good luck.
because of the most recent success. But yeah, I think he's probably one player that definitely wants to continue to try and make all this work.
Yeah, I'd be, I guess, a little surprised if he left. Not shocked, but a little surprised.
Right.
So I'm kind of with Brent on that. 75-25 was the first numbers that popped into my head. So
Darren, he's had some NIL deals with local restaurants and a couple other like smaller things. Do I think there's a move to get him to help his decision to stay? I have no idea, man. That's the one thing we try to do.
Athletes too.
Yeah, it's one of the things we try to do. Is be honest with you. I'm not going to be like, yeah, I think if Procter and Gamble throws $250,000 his way, he'll stay. Like I don't know, man. Everybody's got their own decision-making process, and I don't try to pretend to know what that is for different guys.
All right. What backup offensive linemen are ready for playing time? Do you see any of them getting significant playing time the rest of this season?
If there were backup offensive linemen ready for playing time, I think we would have seen them by now.
Well, and also you can potentially return the interior of the offensive line, so I'm sure you don't want to mess with that too much to try and continue that continuity, but maybe, yeah.
And I think Williams and Buford can come back also.
Right. So
like you have the potential to return your entire offensive line, which would be significant in the development of an offensive line. If they have a season under their belt and they get to come back, you would hope they improve. But there's also the age-old belief that returning guys that struggled doesn't guarantee that they're going to be good the following year. What I would say there is hopefully you would be able to focus on the weakness, which is pass protection, and continue to accentuate the strength, which, let's be honest, this has been a good run blocking offensive line. So there would be at least a foundation to build on if you go forward with at least most of the group that you have.
Yeah.
I think we're all in agreement there. What is the most frustrating part of this team for each of you when you're watching?
All of it.
Defensive back. Yeah, all of it is the correct answer. Defensive backfield really frustrates me. And then I just kind of the lack of anything special teams, because we've just been so spoiled, for a lack of a better term, by recent special teams. And now when we don't have anything explosive coming out of that, other than, I mean, even Carter Brown, who's been proved to be pretty reliable, doinked one on Saturday, and it just, special teams as a whole has really been frustrating as well.
Not great job.
For me, it's the big play that we used to be able to, whether it was Dez, whether it was Jerome Ford, whether it was Sauce,
Tyler Scott, Trey Tucker. Yeah.
I mean, whether it was, and it wasn't just on special teams. It wasn't just on offense. It wasn't just on defense. It was that whole thing that I've talked a little bit about this season, is making your own luck and being able to win these 50-50 plays, or just picking the ball off in a clutch moment when you needed to create a turnover. Breaking off a splash play, which again for me is 25 or more, but we got used to those kind of splash plays, right? Like we got used to those.
Last year, the talk was like how we were a little too one-dimensional with only splash plays.
I miss.
We needed to get a running game going, and now
I miss the splash plays with my entire being.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just, that's the most frustrating part, is I don't feel like there's any big play opportunities happening right now on offense, on defense, certainly not on special teams, in any facet of special teams. So it's just like, if there was something to get,
minus Miles busting a big run in each of the last two games.
There is that. But it's
those are the only things that like give you something to lean on. And the first pass play of the game, where they went for big yardage, and then they went 1 for 4 in the rest of the half passing the ball.
It just feels like the big plays
Womp,
are so few and far between this entire season that they're almost forgettable. And that, I don't say that as a knock on the ones making those
No,
plays.
I know what you're saying.
But it's just that the rest, the filler has been.
Here's the problem, Aaron, is that in between UC splash plays, the other team makes 4.
Yeah.
So that's why they're forgettable, right? Because UC makes 1, and then the other team makes 4, and then we finally see another UC one, and it results in a missed field goal or an interception or failed 4th and 1 in the red zone or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. All right. That is the football portion of the mailbag. Moving on to the bats.
I did want to mention one thing. It looks like actually on PFF's big board for the draft, Dante is a top 50 prospect. So if that is true and he is being told he's grading out as a top 50 prospect, like Chad said, I think
go get your money, man.
Go get your money. So if
I'm always in favor of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was more on the side of like if it was just his decision. Yeah. Good.
Look, I did this for 12 years before I made enough money to pay myself.
Right.
Right? Like, go get your money, bro. Go get your money.
Yeah, he'd be hard pressed to make as much as he's going to make in the NFL. He's not like you're not. The NIL is not the same here as it is in some of these places where you're.
And it's not like he's going to go from a top 50 player to a top 10 player.
Yeah.
Where the difference is significant. If you're a
monumental
second round guy, you're a second round guy. You're not jumping up into lottery pick status, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
To where, the money is life changing to come back for a year.
And I also wanted to give one last shout out. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, not with what we've seen thus far.
Yeah.
Right.
Shouts to Jawan Briggs. He had my favorite play of the Oklahoma State game when he absolutely blew up that pulling tackle.
That's what we talked about last. He's gonna get drafted. Like,
lit him up.
He has enough tape of things he's done that are somebody's gonna take.
Great size, great strength. Yeah. People are gonna be blown away by his
human.
Great human. Yeah.
All right. That is the football portion of the mailbag. Moving along to the basketball portion of the mailbag, which only has one question, but it's a good one. As we stand on the doorstep of the Coach Wes Miller's third regular season campaign, which of the following 7 songs do you think will symbolize the 23-24 season? A Long December by Counting Crows, one of my favorites. Baby, I Love Your Way by Peter Frampton. Give Me 3 Steps by Leonard Skinner. We Will Rock You by Queen. Bouncing Around the Room by Fish. Comfortably Numb.
Top 5 favorite songs, Bouncing Around the Room. Sentimental.
Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd. Cleaning Out My Closet by Eminem. Bonus selection, Won't Get Fooled Again by The Who. And Kicking Arse in the Morning and Taking Names in the Evening, Marshall Bruce Mathers III.
It's an Eminem for you.
It is
Marshall
Eminem.
Bruce Mathers for you non-Detroit folk out there. Chad, you're the music man. What you got?
I mean, I'm not really the music man.
You and Aaron, definitely.
Give me a minute. You guys answer.
I'm gonna go with I Like the Way You Move by Outkast.
Outkast.
Why is that? Just because
they're supposed to be faster from all indications. They are supposed to be a faster team. They're supposed to be moving off the ball better, and there's been a large focus on that. There's been a focus on trying to potentially get back to the full court press. If Aziz, Jamil get cleared, I think we're going to start seeing some dunking again, finally.
Hey!
Which I have missed so damn much. So I'm going with, for all of those reasons, I like the way you move.
Yeah. That's
I got
why
it.
I'm saying the Pointer Sisters. I'm so excited. You're going to hear it next week. Next Sunday, will be a lot more Pointer Sisters out of me. I'll tell you that much.
I got mine.
I'm so
The
scared.
next episode, Dr. Dre.
Da 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 da.
Right? It's the next episode. No more AAC. Into the Big 12.
No more Under Armour.
No more Under Armour. Into the Jumpman era. The next episode. I think I nailed it.
Yeah. Good job. I mean, gosh, I might just sit here and play Pointer Sisters and just sing it. If some, I don't know, if just give me someone, just clear one of them instantly, please.
I picture you like Jesse Spano. I'm so excited. I'm so scared.
It's been a very interesting mix of that. Very, very interesting mix of that the last month. In all fronts when it comes to Bearcat. So, yes.
So the excited part is the non-con, and then so scared is the conference part.
I think the makeup of this team, obviously the two elements in the room that we've mentioned numerous times, but the makeup of the team is damn exciting.
Look,
it is.
After as high as I was on football, I'm trying not to get out over my skis on basketball. I can't take another letdown.
Especially when we're 13-0 heading into conference play. Let's go.
Shut the fuck up for a second. Go ahead. How about Dirty by Christina Aguilera?
I want to get dirty. Underrated music video.
All-time music video. Or
easy
scenario.
No, that Red Man.
Yeah.
Scenario. Tribe Called Quest is a good one.
Okay, sure.
So what's the scenario? Like, you gotta tell me the scenario. Do they get the waivers? Do they not get the waivers? Or do they have to play big? Can they play small? Scenario. Tribe Called Quest.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that one? Save the Last Dance for me.
If Things Go Wrong, Black by Pearl Jam. My favorite Pearl Jam song.
All right, that's the basketball version of the mailbag. Moving on to the last version. One last question here. Rapid fire Friends edition with Matthew Perry passing away. R.I.P. Let's have some fun.
We're going to have some fun with Matthew Perry's death? Come on, Skins.
Let's have some
you
fun.
Morbid motherfucker.
After he drowned in a jacuzzi. Who was the best character?
He apparently had a heart attack and drowned in a jacuzzi. That's a bad way to go, bro. You're in a jacuzzi, you have a heart attack, and
double whammy. Who was the best character on Friends, and why was it Paul Rudd's? I didn't watch enough of Friends to tell you who the best character was.
It was Joey Tribbiani was the best character on Friends.
Matt LeBlanc, yeah.
Not even close.
I had a massive crush on Jennifer Aniston because of Friends. It was
super hot.
Almost too much to handle.
Still looks the exact same.
Oh, she does. Absolutely. Yeah. So my answer will always be Jennifer Aniston.
Rachel. Yeah. But Joey was the better character.
Yeah, Joey was for sure. And it's funny.
Paul Rudd's character was good though.
One of my friends growing up.
Go ahead.
No, one of my friends growing up just acted like Matthew Perry's character in Friends, like during daily life. So I always told him that, and he was like, "Okay, I agree."
I would say my other second favorite would be Ursula, which was Phoebe's evil twin sister that did porn under Phoebe's name.
Okay.
Which was an all-time episode when they thought Phoebe was doing porn, and they were watching the tape. And Joey was like, I can't watch that. And then Phoebe came in and she was like, that's my sister. And Joey was like, yes, I can watch it.
Okay.
All time great Friends episode.
Gosh, I'm looking at some of the people that made guest
Everybody
appearances.
was a guest appearance on Friends.
Danny DeVito was Roy the stripper.
Yep, I remember that.
Charlie
I remember
Sheen.
That was a good one.
Okay.
Assuming the BCJ cast is forced to live together, who is the first person Chad kills?
Aaron. It's
I
close
think
with
it would
Brent.
be.
It's close.
I was going to say, I think it would be close between me and Brett.
Close. It's close. It's close.
How?
I want to kill you.
I'm a great roommate. Amazing roommate.
I feel like at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, when most people would want to go to sleep after a long night of drinking, though, you want to keep going until 7 a.m.
Yeah, no duh.
Yeah, and I'd want to kill you.
But I'll still be at the bar doing that. And then
They were in New York, so the bars would be open until 4. I
Right.
should be asleep by the time Brent gets home. Now, if he came home and woke me up, I would want to kill him.
Don't worry, I'm a quiet bear. Sneak my way in, eat my Taco Bell, and hit the hay. It's about all we do.
Walrus says the first person that dies is Royer killing himself on day 2. Already tired of everyone's bullshit. Look, Walrus. You're talking about a guy that informs us at 7:55 every Monday that he's going to be late for the show.
He is very late today.
He's 2 hours and 6 minutes late. He's still running late. He said, I had some work. I will text you when I'm on my way home. And we haven't heard from him.
I hope he's okay.
Thrifty's been on one tonight.
You aren't lying.
Deanna, Reese Witherspoon as Rachel's sister was great. That was really good. I did like that. Because he doesn't want to deal with our bullshit. Well, then I don't want to pay him. It's a simple transaction. If he doesn't want to be here, that's fine.
Who was the most irritating character on Friends, and why is the correct answer Ross?
It's Ross, without question.
Yeah, it's Ross. Because like Phoebe's too funny to be annoying.
Right.
I mean, Rachel's Rachel.
Monica was annoying at times,
but she's good looking gal.
But Ross was fucking annoying. The other answer is Fran Drescher. But her character was designed to be annoying. Right? Like that was the whole point of casting her, was to be annoying.
Well, and it was annoying too because Ross got Rachel. So everyone's like, screw you, man. So
even without Rachel, Ross was annoying.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, Janice was annoying, Deanna.
Follow-up question: has Jennifer Aniston aged in the last 20 years? Is she a goddess?
Yes.
No, but plastic surgery is a hell of a drug.
Look, man.
Oh, please.
You think that she hasn't had work done? Get out of here, Brent.
Did you watch The Breakup? Great movie.
She had her nose done, I believe, while on Friends.
Good for her.
I'm not.
She made $1 million an episode
But my point is that's why she hasn't aged.
Horrible Bosses. She had a great role in that.
I thought he was going to say a great racket.
Get us out of here, Brent.
Hey guys, we are a week away.
We're smiling, we're laughing, and Aaron has energy. We made it.
It'll be the second half of UIC. We're talking about Day Thomas with a quick 15 points. You know, Daniel Skilling just threw down a dunk.
Wait. That game starts at 9.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Nuts. 9 p.m. tip. Okay, Aaron. Keep yourself muted. But there you are. 9 p.m.
That means
tip.
we're not doing a live nightcap until midnight that night.
Yeah.
Hooray.
3:30 p.m. Saturday live from Nippert Stadium. Got those pesky Central Florida Knights coming to town, so keep looking at that. And then, of course, as I just said, a week away from the tip-off of the basketball season, Wes Miller, year 3, excitement abounds. BCJ is going to have it all. But for my guys, my pals, big shouts to Home Field, big shouts to Danco Transmission and Auto Care, and also big shouts to Quick Paper Supply. My guys, my pals, Chad Brendel, Aaron Smith. I am Brent Young. Yet again, another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.